How's it going, everybody? I'm Drifter from Driftwood Gaming. Welcome back to learning GameMaker Studio 2. In this RPG episode, we're going to be taking a look at how to make a MegaMan style HP bar. So let's jump into the game real quick just to show you what I'm talking about, so you guys know right off the bat if this is something that you're interested in. Okay, look in the top left corner here. We've got a little bit of a this is our HP bar. If you've ever played MegaMan, it might look a little bit familiar to you. It's a little bit different color. I made this artwork myself. But basically, I just drew one little sprite, and then I just stacked it up 20 times, depending on how much HP you have left. So, okay, this guy's throwing fireballs at us, but we're dodging them. Let's go ahead and get hit. You'll see we flash red, a little particle plays, but we also lost some life. So let's take a look in the top left corner as I get hit. Boom. We should be losing life. Bam. We should be losing 5 life when we get hit with the fireball, and 10 life if we get hit by the actual creature itself. So you can see as we take damage, our life goes down. Boom, boom. There he is again. So if we take full damage, we die. But basically, this is your GUI, you know, your life MegaMan style HP bar. So if this is a system that interests you, you want to learn how I made this, it's pretty basic and very simple. So I'll show you how to do it. All right, let's jump into the code real quick. Okay, so we need some event to store the GUI, the draw GUI. You could put it right on the player if you want, but just you want to remember to keep one object for your GUI, and you don't want to have multiple objects drawing GUI. You kind of want to consolidate them. From my experience, it doesn't always work when you have multiple events drawing GUI. I don't get why it does that, but if you put everything in one GUI, one draw GUI, one object, then it should work fine. So at the beginning of this is not necessary, but just to make it easier so that I can say X plus and Y plus, and I always know that X and Y is going to be 0 no matter where I put it. So let's see, where's it at? I put the data manager up right here. So that's not 0, 0. That's actually 2935 or whatever. But I want to reference X and Y as 0. So in the code on the create, add event, add create, X equals 0, Y equals 0. So that means when the game starts, we're setting this as persistent. It's always going to be in the game once it's been called one time. Visible doesn't even need to be there. We'll leave it visible, but it doesn't need a sprite. You don't want to give it a sprite. Once you've done that, do add event, draw GUI. And then up here is where we're going to be doing some conditionals. So in order to figure out how to make the HP bar, basically, or how to determine if we draw the thing or not, we're going to need a couple things, right? We're going to need the actual artwork itself, the sprite. I guess I could put that on Google Drive. Links in the description. I'll put this piece of art I made in the description below, so you can download it if you want to try this without having to do your artwork yourself. But it's easy if you want to make your own. I recommend making your own artwork. It's not too hard. Let's take a look at the life pod that I made. This is it right here. So we'll take a look at it real quick. I just picked the size of 4 by 16, or 16 wide by 4. Okay, so that's, pick whatever size you want, depending on the size of your game. You could always upscale and downscale these, so just don't make it too small. All right, so right here on the first frame, I just did like a little bit of a border to make like a capsule, and then on the next frame, I just changed this color. And then the next one, I just created a pattern. You know, nothing crazy. I just made a little pattern. It's just an arbitrary thing and doesn't really mean anything, right? It's just a graphic, so boom. And you put it together and you get this little effect. Now, the way we're drawing it with Draw Sprite, you don't see the animation. So you don't even need the animation for this tutorial, really. You just do one frame, just draw something that looks like, you know, like that. And then there you go. Okay, so you got your HP bar. If not, links in the description where you can download this one I made for your life pod. Okay, going back up to where we were at. On where was it at? In the GUI. Okay, so here's how it's set up. If you're at max life, then it'll show all 20, but as soon as you take some damage, any damage, you're going to lose your first bar. You'll have 20 bars. Each bar represents 5% of your remaining HP, but the last bar, the last pod, will represent up to everything until you hit 10%. When you hit 10% and on, it shows you 2 bars. So the last bar will be all the way till you have 1 HP, all the way up to you have 9.999% of your HP remaining. So the last bar will tick around the longest. They'll let the player know, hey, you're about to die, you're about to die. You know, just so it doesn't disappear. This is the way I've coded it. You can change it up, but at the end I'll show you another way to do it. So right here, here's the conditional statement. You'll need 2 variables, one to control your life and one to control your maximum life. They don't have to be called that. It's completely arbitrary. Call them whatever you want, but reference them wherever you want. You can actually control those variables on the GUI itself if you want. So you can just say life equals whatever, and control it right there. I've already set up my parameters for life and max life, so I think I put that on the data manager. So if I open up the data manager, I can see down here I've got my my life and my max life already set up. So these variables are stored on the data manager object. So if I want to change these and toggle these, I need to reference this object before I reference these variables. So looking at my my data manager, my max life is set first, and it's set to my level times 100. Now you'll have to set up level before you define something giving a variable. Like for example, if I cut this and paste it at the bottom, it will crash. Why? Why is it going to crash? Because it's going to say we can't assign the value of level to max life because we don't know what level is yet, because it reads from top to bottom, right? So it's trying to figure out what level is and multiply that by 100 before it knows what level is. So you'll be like, oh, I got everything here, why is it crashing? It's all about order of operation. So we'll cut that, paste that at the beginning. Now it's going to define your level is 1. Your max life is your level times 100. Well, see, now it already knows our level is 1. So our max life is going to be set to 1 times 100. Change these numbers to be whatever you want. Then we set our life to our max life and experience if you want. It's all up to you. So there you go. That's what you set up. But we reference this on Data Manager here. So when I reference this on Data Manager, I need to call that first, right? So I'm going to say if the object name dot variable name greater than equal to the object name dot variable name. So if the data manager's life is greater than the max life or equal to the max life, then we want to draw one of these HP bars or one of these pods. Let me zoom in, and this is the code that you're basically going to be using over and over and over. It's pretty simple. We're going to say draw sprite extended, and then we're going to say the name of the sprite that you created. So in my case, it's S_life_pod. But it'll have to be the name that you chose for your sprite. Then the next thing it's looking for, let's actually scroll it like this and zoom out one so that I can see what it's asking for at the bottom here. This is really useful information. So the next thing it's asking for is the sub image. What image do you want this to display? In 0, it stores it as an array, so 0 comes first. So the first picture is 0. So we're just going to say start at the first picture. Then this is going to say, well, where do you want it to be? We're saying draw sprite where? Where do you want it? X and Y. Well, we've set our X and Y to be 0 so that I know it'll be, I can just say plus the X and plus the Y, and I'll know exactly where it's going to be. So if I say, I want this at 2416, 24 across, 16 down, then I just write X plus 24, Y plus 16, and then it's going to be at the top left, you know. So how it works is X goes from left to right, and then Y goes up, down. Most of you guys already know this, right? So as you add to X, it goes from the left to Y. So 0X will be all the way to the left. 0Y is all the way at the top, and as you add to Y, it goes down. So say you were, this is 1920 by 1080. The pixel, 1920 by 1080, is the very last pixel in the bottom right corner, right? And the 00 pixel is all the way up in the top left. So on the top right, you've got 1920, which is our X, but it's still 0Y, so 1920 by 0 is up here. Does that make sense? Pretty easy, right? And then the next things it's asking for is the X scale and the Y scale. How big do you want this sprite to be? Do you want it to be regular size? If you drew the pods too small, you can just increase these so that they look bigger. If you drew the sprites too big, you can just reduce these so that they look smaller, right? Easy. The next thing it's asking for is the rotation. Do you want it to rotate this sprite? If you say 0, it's going to keep it the way it looks. And if you add to it, I think it can go up to 360, and it'll do a circle with it, rotating it. And then the next thing, the color. What color do you want? This is basically the blend mode, right? So if you don't want a blend mode and you want the picture to look like what it looked like when you drew it and saved it, just use the color C_white. That means no blend mode at all. Just like regular. And then the last thing it's looking for is the alpha. What is the alpha? It's the see-throughness, the opacity. So if you say 0, it'll be invisible, and it'll draw the sprite, but you won't see it. So it won't really draw the sprite. Technically it does. But anyway, if you want it to be partially see-through, you can go like 0.75, and now it will be kind of opaque, or kind of you know, it'll kind of be see-through. You'll be able to see what's going on behind it. But I want it to be solid, so I put it at 1. And that's it, right? So that's the logic for that. Now all we do is we change the Y value, because remember we're adding to the Y to push the numbers down. So we're saying plus 16 pixels, and then 4 pixels down plus 20 pixels, plus 24, plus 28, plus 32. Now, did I pick an arbitrary number? Why am I just adding 4 pixels? Well, if we look at the sprite, the S_LifePod, we can see that the height is 4 pixels. Remember, height is the y-axis. So if I add, oh shoot, what am I doing? Here we go. If I just add 4 to the y, then I'm stacking them and I'm making them pixel perfect. So there's no space in between. If you want to make a space in between, you can do that too. So it's completely up to you. So everything is the same as far as the draw sprite extended. We're even drawing the same sprite, you know. The only difference is we're adding we're adding to the y value where we're drawing it. So we're saying drawing it plus 16, plus 20, plus 24, plus 28. You see that's all that's changing as we go throughout there. Pretty easy. Now the logic changes though after a while. So the first one, it says if you're at full life, then draw that. Otherwise, draw this the second one if you're over 95% HP. So how would we do that? If our life is greater than our max life times 0.95. So how do we figure out 95% of our life? Well, we just look at our whatever variables holding our maximum life and multiply that by 0.95, and that will multiply anything times 0. something something is going to be your percentage. So if you want to figure out 1% of something, multiply it times 0.01. If you want to figure out 10%, 0.10. Oh, right, basic. Is that algebra? I don't know. It's basic stuff. That's basic math right there. Also, order of events, sequence. What is it? Order of operations. So we want our max life to be multiplied by this number before it's checked or anything. I don't think this is necessary, but I do this anyway. So I'm going to say make sure that you multiply max life by 0.95 before you compare it to life or whatever. It's going to do that anyway, but I feel better the way it looks like that. All right, so 90% here. Same thing right here. All we're changing now is reducing 0.95 to 0.90, which is 90%, and adding 4 to the y, right? So now I don't have to really repeat too much, right? Copy, paste, change the 9 to 8.85, change the y plus 24 to y plus 28. Copy, paste, change that, copy, paste, change that, and so forth, so on, all the way down till you get to the last one, which will be different here. So all of it's the same until you get to right here. When you see, okay, we've changed it, copy pasted to change the 0.15 to 0.1, and change the y plus 84 to y plus 88. And now, when we want to check the last bar, we want to have this last bar show, if we have even a single HP, we want to show the last bar. And we don't want to show 2 unless we've got 10%, right? So, well, and for me, anyway, I have another method I'll get to right now if you don't want to do this. That's the way I want it to be, so that the last bar is like it gives you fair warning that you're about to die. So anyway, if your life is greater than 0, then draw the last one. And that's all that is. Very, very simple, right? Now, if you want it to be so that each one represents 5% exactly, and your last bar doesn't represent 9.99%, it's still, last bar represents 5%, you can do that. It's easy to do that as well. Just change the logic on the conditionals. So all you have to do is make the condition say, if the object name dot variable name is greater than 0, draw the sprite, all that same stuff as before. So if it's greater than 0, that's for the first one, right? So if we've got at least, 1 HP, draw that 1, the first bar. And that's what this is saying right there. And so the next thing we would say is, if the object name dot variable life is greater than the object name dot variable max life times 0.05, then we're going to draw the second one. See, we just work in an opposite direction. So instead of just drawing from the top bottom, we draw from the bottom up. The same thing will happen, except now, when you get down to the last bar, if you've got 6% of your life, it'll show you 2 bars. It'll show you 2 of them. But if you've got less than 5%, it'll just show you the 1 bar at the bottom. Does that make sense? So the code is there. I'll zoom in a little bit more so you can see this. As a placeholder, you would use that, and then all your logic is right in there. So pretty much it. Took a little bit longer than I thought. It was a pretty simple tutorial, I thought. But anyway, hopefully you guys liked this little tutorial on how to do a MegaMan style HP bars. Let's jump into a game real quick and look at the bars again. And you can see they're right there. We get hit, boom, we took some damage. He throws a fireball, we get hit for 5. Fireball hits us, boom, we lose 5, which is equivalent to 1 bar. We get hit, we lose 10, equivalent to 2 bars. We could always kill them. But yeah, so there's our HP bars. Hopefully you guys liked this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Got lots of game development tutorials. Check them out. RPG Maker, MV, Game Maker Studio 2. Lots of good stuff. Thank you. I love you, all my Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. You keep me alive. If you have any special requests, put them in the comments below. Hit me up on Discord if you want to talk. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Yeah, I'm still going to just do the bye-bye thing. I don't care. I don't really care. Got him. Yeah, baby. Oh, tutorial's over. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys in the next one. Later.